just put pucks on net.
We have almost breaking news here is that the Stars, about an hour ago, we have officially seen the Stars claim Vladislav Kolyachonok as one of their players again. He was put on waivers by the Bruins yesterday. He was here in the building.
I don't think he ever left.
There's a good chance of that.
Yeah, and then
they were, because they had put him on waivers before, and the only team to reclaim him, they were allowed to send him directly to the AHL's Texas Stars. So Kolyachonok, who played 2 games over a little over a month on the Bruins roster, got paid his NHL salary. He is on a 2-way deal still, so that helps, but he didn't play very much. Now he's back, and he will, I would think, Robert, really help a Texas Stars team that has not had the best first half of the season.
Yeah, and they've had, Kyle Capobianco also has been up with the team for a lot of the season too. So they've had to make do with a lot of guys. Tristan Bertucci's had to take a big role. He's been playing on their power play and stuff just in his first year in the AHL. And everyone always talks about how big of a step that is going from juniors to professional hockey in the AHL. And you've seen those growing pains in their record early in the season, and at home especially, it's still been pretty rough. So them getting any help will be big, and getting a guy like that will be really big for them for however long he's down.
Where are they in the standings right now?
Last I saw, they were like in 6th or something. So still kind of playoff bubble for the way the playoffs work in the AHL, but not at all where they were for a lot of last year.
It's funny to see this whole process. Obviously, it's what you want, but like the Texas Stars were always the deep team, right? Wow, they got so many good players. They're so built. And now it's like they have no one down there that's on that level, but that's because
of Dallas.
Everyone up here. Everyone used to be key contributors up there,
they're there for.
Or in Carolina. So it's just cool to see that transition.
Texas today tied with Rockford at points at 36 points. They're for 4th in the Central, but because of games played, they're in 5th. So long way to go. But they had literally a winless October, which was not the way they wanted to start.
Yeah.
Luds, you've said this on our show multiple times. Kolyachonok really grew on all of us.
Yeah.
Because I personally wasn't real impressed with what I saw in the preseason NHL games he played in. But when he got called up to play for Dallas, we saw a different player.
He seemed uncertain, kind of in what he was doing, but you saw little things in there. And again, like all players, I think the more that he played and the more opportunity he got and got into a bit of a rhythm. And what I liked, I think that if there was one area I would want him, because he's not a little kid, is I would want him to be a little bit more physical. And that's just me, but I liked the way he got up and down the ice. He would jump into plays offensively, jump in and read the play well. And so I thought there was a lot of little things that he did. Have you seen him play prior to that, all that?
In Cedar Park a little bit. I watched a couple games early this season before he came out to Dallas the first time.
Did you notice a difference from there to
honestly, he actually didn't have the strongest start in the AHL initially, but again, you're acclimating to a new team and all that sort of thing. And he played for 2 NHL teams last year too, in Utah and Pittsburgh, right? So I thought he got better each game. He was up in Dallas for the most part, and he finally started looking more comfortable using his tools. And we've heard this year that both Glenn Goldson and Elaine Nasruddin want people to be making a few more decisions as opposed to this is what you do, kind of what they've done in the past. And it seemed like once he got the confidence to start doing that, his decision making was actually pretty good.
And they really should, because you know what happens with them, and we do it with our players here when they move up and they go to the North American League, USH, or whatever. You tell them that you're going to find that it's going to be easier, and the reason it's easier is because guys are where they're supposed to be quicker. So don't look past that first guy, especially when you move to that next level, because you want the guys that are watching you going, he knows what he's supposed to do. He moves it right there. He moves it right there. Gets up in the play. And as far as the puck moving things, it's always easier there. Now, the defensive side of things are always going to be a little bit more difficult because of more speed and skill and, better players that you're playing against. But again, I thought as he went along, you didn't see it. There were a couple times I can kind of remember maybe stepping up a little bit, but then all of a sudden you're like, holy balls. It's a lot. It's like night and day here. You know what I mean? They're going at 60 there. They're going at 75, 80 here. Yeah. But that's just part of the process.
I'm curious, Luds. You just brought up a point that I've been thinking about this a lot. They always talk about, is it going to hurt him to play another year in the AHL or junior, whatever the level is? Is that the reason that it could hurt someone? Like if it's someone like Stankoven who's played in the NHL and they're on that bubble and they're like, you know what, it's not going to help him any further.
Yeah,
is that
nothing more to gain.
Is that because they're going to have those reads where they can do a little extra that they wouldn't get away with in the next level?
Yep. And then I think also, though, there is a side that a player like that spends whatever it is, 6 months or a whole nother year, year and a half, they have to be of the right mindset too, because they feel that they can be at that point.
Yeah.
So I think the communication is always important between there up top and there, and just saying, here's where we're at. You be honest with them, and you should be here, and you continue to do what you're doing. You're going to be here. Again, it's a lot of it is about luck and breaks, and sometimes, physically. But I just think that the communication is so big for those guys, because things will get easier there for them, and then all of a sudden it doesn't look like they're getting better. They're kind of staying at the same place. And my opinion is, when you see that, you need to get them out of there.
And they're getting away with stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And things won't come easier here. So, but they're all different. I think it's fair to say that every player, not every player, but the majority of them all develop at different rates and pick up different things at their own pace. But you can pretty much tell with the guys, and like a guy like that I think has got to, I'm not going to say he's Leon Bischel, but I think that he needs to put that into his game. And sometimes, somebody was talking to me about the other night, and one of our buddies that keeps on texting us all the time on the show, he was asking about Jamie Oleksiak. Yep. And I just said, he gets up, but doesn't it seem like to you, I don't know, because you probably watched him way more, but it seemed like he wanted to be more of an offensive guy than play with his size.
That was always the
Big on
issue
hands.
that the Stars organization had with Jamie Oleksiak, was he's 6'7", 250, and he played like he wanted to be more like
He hasn't
Miro
changed though either.
or Zubov. No, he is a offensive defenseman in a Darian Hatcher body. Yeah. They wanted more Hatcher in his game, or Bischel now, and it just wasn't in his nature. The funny thing is that I actually saw Oleksiak lose his cool in the AHL and destroy Alexander Petrovic, Texas versus San Antonio, and everybody went, that's what you're capable of, but it's not something he replicated.
Yeah. Do you remember a guy that played in New York by the name of Willie Huber?
I know the name. I remember watching him.
He's a gentle giant, huge. And, for, I don't know, somebody look up his stats, 6'6", whatever he was. At the time, that was big, but he's probably 250, 260, but just didn't want to get physical. You know what I mean? There's a song there. You want to get physical or don't?
That's the knock on one of Boston's defensemen that people have talked about being on the trademark. I think it's Peak. Peak. Yep. Similar knock on him too. He's big, but he doesn't always use the size that well. And that's one of the reasons Boston might be looking to.
And see, if that's the case, then you better be good offensively.
Exactly.
You better have something else to add to it, because then the opponents know that he's this way, but he ain't going to do anything to you. And he's not going to hurt you offensively.
So I was talking on Monday. Stars had practice at the AAC because they played Sunday. It was a rare day where the arena had availability for practice. We've gotten the impression that Gully likes that, practicing at the game rink when available, which is not very often. AAC is a very busy building with the Mavs, concerts, etc. And Boston was in town, and they practiced because they played Chicago the previous game. And so I got to see Ryan Johnston, who we had in studio last year, who's the Bruins, last year was new radio play-by-play guy. And he said that in the 2 games that Kolyachonok had played for the Bruins, you couldn't have come up with a better word, our wordsmith. He said he looked uncertain. He made mental mistakes, showing a relatively young guy that's uncomfortable with his surroundings and his new team.
You know what that is? That's thinking.
Yeah.
He's thinking what's the right play.
Yeah.
And I think that's just so natural as everybody. You want to get to the point where things are just automatic. And you're like, okay, the last team I was doing this, and now I'm over here, and they're, we play a little bit different. There's a different system or that. Yeah, you get caught in the middle.
And he was like, he was like that in Dallas too when he first came up.
Agreed.
He had a couple rough games where it's like, I don't know. But after he had that runway and got that comfort, then you actually saw.
And there was
which is the important part. The important part is that you see, oh yeah, he's getting this, and that, and you're going, there's the growth that we want to see in any player.
So when the Stars lost Kolyachonok, Jim Nill said, boy, we really like him as a player, but hey, he gets a chance to stay in the NHL, obviously from a paycheck perspective. Because he's on a 2-way, it affects what he's getting.
He's on a 1-way.
Is he for sure?
He's on 1-way.
Are you positive?
Yep.
Okay, maybe I was wrong on that. I thought for sure.
I think that's one of the reasons Pittsburgh was okay actually getting rid of him, because it was 1-way, so
but
they were still going to have to pay him.
Here's the thing that you get is that I don't think Kolyachonok is ahead of anybody that's on the Dallas Stars defensive roster right now.
And he shoots left too. Yeah.
If he was a right shot, there may be a different discussion there. But between being able to help the Texas Stars, and if you need a depth guy, which we always talk about, I think that's as good as going out and adding a depth piece, not to try to bolster the group that you are starting for the playoffs. But if you had injuries, I don't think Dallas is as hesitant to put him in because of what he showed earlier this season.
Yeah, it helps the organization.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this shows that Jim Noel tends to have a pretty good read on the league as a whole. Probably Boston was one of maybe the only team that claimed him the first time around, and this time no one claimed him. So yes, technically it was a risk. Technically they lost a player for nothing when they put him on waivers, but give Jim Noel, I think, a little bit of credit for having a good enough feel that time. If it hadn't been for Boston being in the injury situation they were and needing an extra body for insurance, he probably would have gotten through. This time, eventually he did. So give him a little bit of credit for
as you would expect.
Out.
Robert knows his stuff because it was a 2-year contract.
Well, this one time.
He had a 2-way last year. I knew it was there. Yeah. So last year, Kolyachonok was on a 2-way. This year, it switches to a 1-way. Mm-hmm. So